This video is made possible by our patrons.
Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to Metabreakers. It has it's been a hot second since we've all been on the show. Been up to a bunch of various Age of Sigmar shenanigans, which we will be enlightening you on. But yeah, for people who maybe haven't seen before, I'm JP. I'm joined by Jack.
Hello.
Fabian.
Yep. Hey.
And last and least, Luke.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, so we're basically going to give you a quick rundown of what we've been up to since you last saw us, and what we're going to be up to. You know, there's some exciting news for WargamerOnline and how we're going to be going forward with this the Metabreaker stuff that you guys know and love. So I know Jack has a little bit of an update for us, so I'll let him take it away to start with.
Oh, you throw me right in there. Yeah. Okay. So, followers of the channel will kind of know the channel as WargamerOnline. It's been WargamerOnline since the beginning, but something that was kind of a project for my dad, kind of within the last year, was a rebranding and a refresh of the channel into Metabreakers. And kind of over the last year, we've been working towards that. I think kind of, you know, we're implementing a studio up north with kind of Luke and the guys up north and Fabs and stuff like that. So we've been doing that behind the scenes, and we're almost there with that. And kind of, you know, recently, anybody that's kind of, you know, follows on our Twitter or on Discord will know that unfortunately my dad, Phil, as people will know him, has taken ill. I won't bore people with the details, but if you want to know more, I think, you know, like if you're part of the Discord, have a look on there. He does post updates and on the Twitter feed if you want to know what's going on. So this isn't like us, you know, turning around and kind of saying he's no longer part of the channel. It's just because of health reasons, he's going to be taking a step back and doing some more behind the scenes stuff, like designing a new logo, kind of, you know, doing a lot of the stuff to rebrand the channel into Metabreakers, and kind of doing some other hobby projects which we'll be happy to unveil soon.
Yeah, he's always been a little bit of a behind the scenes wizard, hasn't he?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, this has been a project for him for a while now, and we're kind of almost there, aren't we? I'd say we're just a stone's throw away from kind of crossing that line into Metabreakers.
Exactly. Yeah, so again, it's been in the pipeline for a long time, and now we're here getting ready to give you some exciting updates. Before we get into that, we'll do a little bit of a run through of what we sort of are just doing in the Warhammer space. So for me, I'm getting ready for, well, hobby wise, we've got Golden Demon and Warhammer Fest this weekend. I should really be downstairs painting, but I've looked at that Keeper of Secrets for long enough to make me sick. So also we have the World Championships for Age of Sigmar coming up next month, at the end of next month, start of June rather. And I'm coach for the Scotland team, so we just had list submission recently, so there's been a lot of Matrix consulting, a lot of practice games, a lot of stuff like that. I've played a bunch of games on TTS of armies I've never played before to try and find out what's a good mission, etc. So my brain's exploding a little bit, but yeah, so that's what I've been up to. What about you, Jack?
I have, ironically, so I did recently, I say recently, it was kind of a couple of months ago now, kind of polished off my OBR army just in time for the new book. Got all those stalkers ready. I think I got something like 12 stalkers now, which I still think you need more, but I don't think I can face any more stalkers. So that kind of brought me to like most of the Sigmar armies that I wanted, you know, barring the Umbraneth, whenever that comes out. We can all hope and get excited for that. So yeah, so that's kind of it. I've been doing some other stuff. I've been doing a bit of Heresy, a bit of 40k with the new edition, because I have to admit that the new edition does excite me a little bit. So I'd give that a go. So I've dug out some armies from the loft and given that a go.
Well, speaking of 40k, I'm sure there'll be some KO chat coming from the next two guys. So Fabian, what have you been up to? I know you're also getting looking world's ways and etc.
Yeah, well, I guess loads have happened since last time, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I guess on and off the field. We're talking about Warhammer, right? Yeah, sorry. Right. So
There could be kids watching this, Fabian.
yeah. You know, just casually winning tournaments, and just.
All right, and that's it. We're taking another year hiatus.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Getting ready for Worlds with Team England. So one of the players for those guys at Worlds, they called me up, which was amazing. Sort of very proud to play for those guys. So yeah, so a lot of my sort of concentration, everything's been going towards that at the moment. Which is in end of May, June, isn't it? JP, right?
Yeah. June 1st, I think. A lot of people are going
so that's gonna be really exciting to watch and be a part of. I love a lot of that, and then just helping out with Luke with the new sort of studio that we're doing up here. So helping to do a little bit more maybe competitive gaming. Everyone wants to see me trash Luke. Like, come on, like everyone wants to see that.
Confirmed. Can confirm.
Put in the chat if you want Luke to get absolutely. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's basically what's been going on. Been doing a lot of went to a tournament, Crest of Champions, won that one. That was pretty cool. Having some fun. I don't know if the last time I spoke to you guys on YouTube, I have a daughter now as well. So
God, congratulations.
Yeah. But look how I put the more important things first, Warhammer, and then daughter afterwards. But yeah, we'll yeah, I got a little daughter. So but yeah, that's me. What about you, Luke? What you been up to, bro?
Well, I've been doing a lot of playing competitive Warhammer. So a lot of team events. I've not done any singles for a while. I've done a lot of team events and done well in the team events.
Yeah, a couple big wins. I mean, the presumably the biggest wins, right? The biggest team tournaments in the UK.
I went to win Worlds with England, and then just set out to beat England after that, and it's been successful so far.
I knew you were a spy. I knew it. This guy.
No, but so at the start of the year, me and JP, we did a tournament. Chris Tomlin runs called Brotherhood. 6-man team event, very competitive, and that was fun. JP used his list bot in action there. Everybody was loving that. Watching it generate like what matchups it thought was best. I absolutely had to step in and make sure it didn't make any mistakes, but that was fun. And then I did another tournament. We did the Blood Tithe recently as an onwards team. It's like a coaching service. We've been doing that as well. Took that one out. But mainly the main force is just been trying to get the studio up and running. Me and Fabian have been doing well. I got Fabian painting the studio walls and helping me lay the floor.
He was like, "Oh, come over and have a look at these the new studio." Yeah, all right. As soon as I walk through, straight paintbrush in my hand, paint that boy. Get to work now. Come out of there like paint all over me, like in my hair, my teeth, everything.
But no, that's been good. I think JP might have some pictures he might be able to show. We did a couple of test runs of some battle reports. We did the other night. We did Dragons versus Nighthaunt. That was I'm slowly getting the hang of it. Phil has created something that's he kind of is so far ahead with all this stuff. It's very hard to learn how he's done his. It's so good. Like the whole trying to set the table out, get the cameras in position. And he's got a very good setup, and it's trying to replicate that.
Yeah,
it's like learning a foreign language, isn't it? Where when he's trying to tell me like, oh, this so and so's gone wrong, so I'm gonna have to do. I'm like, yeah, sure. You do what you need to do to fix it, big guy. I'm gonna roll some dice over here and get ready. So I suppose we should mention studio
now, actually.
Sorry, what?
He's in the chat now. Big Papa Phil.
Yeah.
Big Phil's in the
Is
chat.
he?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you
he's in
go.
the chat. Aye.
Yeah,
Top downstairs, bless him.
even though he's struggling at the moment, and it's very hard. But
Yeah, no, he's
he's talking he's helping me and us and Fabian and Jack. He's
yeah.
still helping all the time, and
Yeah, he's still kind of behind the scenes in the channel. It's just kind of the face of it we're going to have to pick up, which I suppose we should talk about the Studio North, because a lot of people might not know it. Kind of if they watch the videos back, it's all going to be of Studio South. I'm not sure whether Studio North did any live videos recently. I think you've only just filmed the first bat rep. So we had a studio down here in the south. I say the south. We are like the Midlands, and anybody south of us will get really angry calling it Studio South. But we'll call it Studio South, because Studio Midlands doesn't really roll off the tongue as much. So yeah, so for a while it's all kind of been run from down here, but recently over the year, over kind of the past year, we've been kind of raising the funds for our amazing patrons and kind of YouTube subscribers, and implementing a studio up north with you, Luke, kind of in your area, and kind of with a lot of that sort of area. So it's going to be more kind of competitive lists with kind of the competitive teams. The tournament teams are going to be kind of going through more in-depth tactics, and because you guys know what you're talking about more than me and the old man. We just throw things at you. Well, I suppose Fabian knows what he's going on about. Luke just pretends like what he's saying original and isn't just from Fabian. So yeah, so that should be hopefully being implemented soon.
yeah, and I mean you'll come to the, because it is a lot of it is obviously we have full-time jobs and we are funding this we really want to make this work and get it out there for everyone, and especially the Patreons and stuff, and yeah, we're just really making a go of it, and it's we're trying our best. Fabian is going to do a lot of editing, and he'll have his spin, and we'll put all our spin on it, and we'll see how it turns out. But I think the main aim obviously is to do battle reports. It'll be recorded for now, and try and do one of them every week, and then with JP at the moment leading the way with these live shows and doing all sorts of analysis and getting Metabreaker players that we think have got a Metabreaker list. Hopefully they want to come on and talk about how they think they broke the meta and won a tournament, say, or done well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
yeah.
To the next part, I think. That's it.
I think just to reiterate there, like just a lot of exciting stuff is happening, and a lot of that's off the back of people watching YouTube videos and people subscribing to the Patreon. So yeah, thanks a lot, and hopefully we're
quickly engage in the chat. So we have we have Nick with us, Philip with us, obviously Papa Phil's on, Thomas, Big Tom saying that I won Blood Tithe with a fluffy list. That's right. Fluffy Skaven. First time I've not just used the best army in the game, so it was good.
Oh yeah, hey Tom.
How did that go, Luke? How did your
I won the tournament. It doesn't matter about personal results.
No such thing as individual scores at a team event.
Team mentality.
And I've seen his Private Ryan when he just got that guy on his back. That's just Luke, like just clinging onto the team's back, like, do you know what I mean?
So Thomas Backhouse is you need to get some of the Scottish players down. They are savage.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we're about to find out at Worlds.
They're some of the hardest. It's the hardest meta, right?
JP? It's confirmed. The data shows. We've done a lot of analysis, other things like that. It's significantly the hardest meta.
One of your slideshows shows the Scottish Masters, doesn't it? Or the top.
Oh no, that's next up actually. So reason as good a segue as any. It's sort of Luke saying something that isn't really true. But yeah. So for people who maybe weren't around last time we were doing Metabreaker stuff or anything like that, like basically where sort of Metabreakers started was, there's a lot of ranking systems out there for who the best players are and all that, and I think that's really good. I've done my fair share of rankings chasings, as you know, a variety of the other people who won't be named on this channel. But so what I sort of did was I wanted to recognize, you know, at the same time, not to take anything away from like people winning with hard as nails lists. It's a hard thing to, you know, pilot and write a really good list, but at the same time I was like, okay, well, there are people doing really well with these other armies that, you know, that are just sort of, you know, maybe you see no one play, you know, I mean, actually Luke, reasonably good example, you know, you didn't see really Skaven anywhere, and then Luke found a good slot for it in this team event, and, you know, they ended up winning the event. So it was basically a ranking system for recognizing how well you did with underperforming armies. So instead of just, you know, getting 100 points for winning a tournament, you basically got points based on a combination of the overall win rate of your army, like in the meta, and then how well you did with them compared to that. So if you've got an army that's normally going 1-4 and you're going 4-1, you're going to be getting a lot of points for that, basically. And that really is sort of where it started, and that sort of reasonably inspired people to, you know, play a variety of degenerate, abusive lists from factions that people hadn't seen before. You know, we saw all sorts of things. You know, people back in the day, even there were people, you know, going 3-2-4-1 with Tomb Kings. You know, so it was really cool to see that stuff. And you know, so basically from that, you know, we had this rankings with these Metabreakers scores, and then we basically just came to start talking about it on the channel, you know, and
Yeah,
so
well, we started the show, didn't we? Probably
Yeah.
got a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago, and we really showcased it by Fabian winning loads of tournaments with Gargants at the time, was a Metabreaker army, and JP taking Gargants as another. So yeah, I think this time we would like to just showcase the people that are doing well with these armies that are not. Essentially, win rate is probably a bad way to look at how good an army is, but it does kind of show the overall strength of an army for sure. So yeah, it'd be fun, and it's good. I think people like to be the special snowflake that's not the same as everybody else. So this will kind of, if you go 5-0 with a Metabreakers army, that I know is only really us to judge that at the moment because there's not that much data really to say it's a Metabreakers. But yeah, we'll maybe get you on and interview you, and then we'll talk about what we think of Metabreakers, and your stats kind of show it as well, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's, you know, it's not. I think sometimes there's also a little bit of a sort of conflation with, you know, people say for, you know, oh, this list is narrative or whatever. It's like there are a lot of nasty lists out there that just, you know, maybe haven't been picked up yet. You know, I know, you know, that list with, you know, before it got nerfed, all 1 million hex rates in it, you know, that sort of flew under the radar for a while, and then just came out and was, you know, one of or the best list in the game, and you know, that was a Metabreakers list, as well as, you know, then after that becoming just a very strong list, you know, and it's sort of helping define the meta. So I think it's just cool to be catching those things as they come up. And
Simon does that well, doesn't he?
yeah,
Simon.
exactly. Yeah, Simon
Yeah,
also.
right. I mean, he won an event recently with loads of spawns, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Just a million chaos spawn. Perfect example of some Metabreakers lists, and they're really cool. And again, I think so. You know what you can sort of expect when you're with what we're doing, what we're planning on doing with Metabreakers is basically going to be, you know, overall looking at the meta, you know, kind of like we've discussed, and then also going into these into Metabreakers lists and, you know, how they work, and talking to the people who have written those lists or have pioneered those lists. I'm sure everybody knows somebody who's like, you know, oh, I've just always played this army, you know, whether when it was good, when it was bad, and a lot of the times, you know, especially when a new book comes out or something, you know, those people will just be like, oh yeah, like, you know, I've always been a Sylvaneth player, and now I'm, you know, pushing around 5 Tree Lords and just smashing people up, and you're like, oh, really cool. Like, you know, I know we did a Metabreakers episode with Matthew Davies, Math Mallow, who, you know, back before Sylvaneth even had their new book, I think, and he was just still, you know, taking names and smashing faces with that, and so we just try and get those players to sort of dive into their list and like how it works and why they think it's good in the meta, and like what sort of both what makes it a Metabreakers army and how you actually, you know, go ahead and break the break the meta with it. So, and now we've got Studio North up and running. Got a couple pictures of Luke celebrating with his Dragon's List and the hex race we were talking about. We're sort of going to augment that so that it's not just not just the interviews and stuff like that, but also we're going to have battle reports to support it, because I think it can really help if you're like oh, okay, this list for my faction, if I'm like, oh yeah, someone's found this insane Cruel Boys list that's doing really well, and you're like, I play Cruel Boys, I want to see the list, but I also want to see how does he play it. I know our last battle report we were playing Flesh of Your Courts versus Cruel Boys, both Metabreakers armies, but I got a couple messages from people about FAQ about like, oh, the list looks cool, like how do I play it, and obviously there are less battle reports out with less popular armies, just sort of by definition, and yeah, we basically just want to keep those going so that you still you got a place to look.
And that's prime example. There's you and Jack as well, isn't there, that can do a game every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Try and get as many faces as we can going.
Yes, yeah, because we do still have the South Studio set up. It's so we have all the cameras and stuff. It's just for the time being, it will be mostly from the north. North.
Yeah,
Oh, you can see other Phil on the screen now, can't you, on the old YouTube? Other Phil.
Thomas Backhouse says full dwarf cities of Sigmar will break the meta. I mean, we even that even sort of was a thing for a while, right? You took your 30 Iron Drakes and you bridged them somewhere.
Iron Drake torpedoes and stuff, yeah, and just nuke down any monster that gets close to them.
With the non-magic wizard Rune Lord that could do all the spells and cast the
don't know what you're on about.
You don't mind everything, but then cast all the spells. So it was good.
Totally not broken.
No, absolutely. There are a lot of sort of nasty lists that are just lurking out there, and that you don't necessarily see, because I think a lot of times, especially now, I think AOS is getting a bit more competitive. If an army is 10% better than another army, it'll see 70% more play, because people want to win tournaments, so they're like, I want to get every advantage I can, so I'll take the best list. But that definitely doesn't mean that an army with 10% less overall win rate isn't still going to be like an absolute powerhouse. And I think especially, we've always said this and we've always seen it in tournament results, but there's no army in the game that isn't capable of going 4-1 at a tournament, and also if you can go 4-1, that means there's always a chance of you going 5-0, you get a couple priority rolls going your way or anything like that, and basically you'll leave.
Just so many counters now, isn't there? This armies counter each other in so many ways. I don't think there's one. There used to be the one army that ruled them all more than ever back in the past, but that's less and less and less so now.
Yeah, agreed.
You've got the big bad in KO, but they still have the weaknesses. But yeah, it's a very exciting time, I think, to be playing Age of Sigmar right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And also everything moves so fast that if you're a player who can sort of be like, oh, actually, I can see a sort of angle with this army, I can build this list, like that, and you can be the sort of first person to pick that up. Like, you can definitely be ahead of the curve with that. And then also on the flip side, because everything's moving so fast and people are moving sort of from net list to net list and stuff like that, you can be the person who's like, well, I've just always played Sylvaneth, and I've got 500 games of Sylvaneth played, and I'm playing against some guy who's playing his second ever game of KO because they're really good, and that's another sort of great angle for Metabreaker stuff. You're like, of course, I practice versus KO because I know they're the big bad, but how many times has this KO player played versus Cruel Boys? You're like 0. And then you just roll 1,000,000 6s and lift the Ironclad, and it's just good to go. Handshake time. So yeah, I think it is definitely an exciting time to be in Age of Sigmar, and obviously biased, but a good time to be getting into Metabreaker stuff. And like also, most of the books are updated now, so there's the power level of all the books is a bit closer. So it's a great time just to be finding out what sort of undiscovered filth there is. And yeah, I think there's.
And there's loads of content of people what they think they're with the stats and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, our angle is more into this kind of what you just with the Metabreaker stuff. So yeah, we're trying to bring stuff fresh, but obviously everybody does a lot of content at the moment. So that's why it's just so there's just so much out there for Age of Sigmar right now. So
yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I'm always just looking for more stuff. I'm like, I just want another YouTube channel to sort of see that there's updates from, so that I can be like, oh yeah, here we go, more stuff to watch. Never enough content, but yeah, there is more all the time. And there's a team event. I think you wanted to talk about, Jack.
yeah.
Oh yeah. you talk about it.
Who's the captain?
Yeah.
Who's the captain?
Yeah. Go on, then, team captain. You talk about it. Don't worry.
I will mute
Oh my God.
Luke's mic for this.
Well, I'll let Jet. So Jet, well, we've not actually done a team event together. We did.
Ever. No, I don't, you know what? I don't think I've ever even done a team event.
But we've done a lot of doubles, didn't we? We did a lot of doubles. But Warhammer World are doing a 4-man team event. So yeah, it'll be the first team event where we go as the Metabreakers. And
Are we bringing Metabreaker lists?
Yeah. Smash the meta.
Metabreakers to me. I'll write the list, and then the Metabreakers, and then everybody can copy me. No, but no, that'd be so that should be exciting. Just see how we get on that, and we can talk about the lists and stuff as we get closer and closer to the event.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're still trying to find when is it, Luke? You're team captain. When is it?
2 weeks after Worlds. So I think it's like 13th, 14th of June. Is it?
Oh, okay. Oh god, it's actually fast approaching, isn't it? That's quite scary.
Far away. But
Yeah.
I'm sure.
The world.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll probably end up just taking the 4 best world lists, but
they have no shame. I think also what I want to hear actually a little bit as sort of a teaser for some Metabreakers action before we have to listen to your degenerate team event plans is I think the Skaven list, the Stormfiends list you guys were you played before that you added to your team for Blood Tithe is really cool. And so yeah, just as a sort of a sneak preview thing, I was wondering if Luke, you wanted to say like how'd you end up coming up with that list, and like why do you think it'd be good in the meta? What made you say it? Because it wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't really. It's obviously Stormfiends have always been a list, but it wasn't considered tippity top tier.
So my clone from over the seas is called Stuart Gutsman, and only a few people get that, but we're very similar personalities in the wargaming scene, and we always kept over the last year. We just kept saying, "What about Stormfiends? They've always been a thing, but nobody just using them because they obviously have massive weaknesses." But I just think with this kind of list and then this meta where you've got super elite stuff like KO, Luminef, and then this 9 Stormfiends are just very good at like positioning themselves and inflicting so much damage on these kind of lists that they can't really recover. And then with the massive hordes, the Gits are a big problem. So I think the top 3 armies are probably Luminef, Gits, and KO at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds right.
This has play into those 3 armies. So if you're going into a team event, you're most likely going to face these 3 armies. So at Blood Tithe, prime example, I played Luminef. No, I played Gits round 1. Banquel just ran through the guy's army. I think he did like 300 mortal wounds in that game. And then I played Luminef round 2. Very good player called Philip. It was the Stone Guard list. So it was a bit harder to. So the tech list is a bit easier for this list to beat. But the Stone Guard list has like mortal wound saves. But it even chewed through all that kind of 3 wound each Stone Guard and 4 mortals. And then I played my old captain, Tom Morsley's KO. And
Oh,
this list
Captain.
was
Oh.
this list was built to beat KO, but sadly I lost.
Oh
you
well,
can't
it wasn't very good then, was it? What
you can't make
are you playing at?
User
can't-
error.
you can't make mistakes with the Skaven, but against KO, if you do the correct target priority, you can definitely give it a run for its money. Essentially, against Tom, I left one Thunder on 1 wound, and then they rallied all back. So that was the end of that game. But it does have game into KO.
Well, yeah, and if you're taking a sort of off meta list that has, that has like a positive win rate versus the best army in the game, again, that's like a prime sort of Metabreakers example.
Yeah, and then Bok as well. Bok's interesting because I think it's an army that's on the rise, and there was a lot of Bok at Blood Tithe. And as long as it doesn't, some Bok lists like the raid list, this list can't really play because it has to deploy on the board. So essentially, if people don't really understand how this list works, all of this list is off the board and can come on the board at any point. The only things that have to deploy is 20 Clan Rats and Fanquil. And even then, Fanquil has the Alchion, which I call it the surfboard. He can go pretty much anywhere on the board with that. And then the 20 Clan Rats can dance around the null holes. So it's a very kind of off the board, dictates where it wants to go. Once it lands, it kind of is stuck where it is, but that's the aim of the list. It's also quite good into, so say like a team event where you need to protect your players that need to win. You can pair them into greens, and this list can take reds and still win if it wins the priority roll. It's very, very oppressive damage. So you could literally go, I'll give you the turn, and then just if you get turn 1 into 2, you will table almost every army in the game. I saw this when I played like 100 raider list at Blood Tithe.
Yeah.
I had to deploy on the board against that because it could kind of screen me out. So I deployed, and you could do. It's hard to explain on here, but you can do a key lock formation with your Clan Rats because Bok have a ritual that pulls units, but you can key lock your units in a way because they're on 25 mil bases. You can kind of interlock these two units together, so when they do the pull, the unit doesn't move. So I bobbled my army in Clan Rats with the Storm Fiends in the middle of the map, so he couldn't do any damage because it's a lot of shots. So with 100 raiders, it's probably like 300 shooting shots if you're in range. But I saw the damage power of this list, so when he eventually had to come on the board and engage me, I killed 90 raiders in one turn with the Storm Fiends. So it can do serious amounts of damage.
Actual Metabreaker levels of damage. Yeah.
List, it's just a list. I'd never really just took a list. Normally, I just take the best army. Fabian's also will do this as well because we want to win. But it was interesting to use a weaker army. I did lose some games because I could have definitely won the games but you can't make mistakes with a weaker army.
Yeah, I think that's pretty typical of them. Like one of the things that makes the sort of the top meta is they do tend to have a bit of wiggle room, whether that's from mistakes or bad dice rolls or whatever. They tend to be able to still go through with it. So yeah, the Metabreaker list, it requires a bigger brain. Obviously, the bigger brain than Luke has, but yeah. So that's.
We got some more. We got Andy Hughes in the chat. We got Twitchy Terry. Thomas is saying I ate Storm Fiends with Gotrek. That's not glorious. That's not very nice.
Oh, Twitchy Terry with the not safe for work Fabian edit. Yes, that's coming. Don't you worry about that.
Oh my god, I'm tired of getting those in my DMs at 3 a.m. I'll tell you that for free.
Oh.
And then we got Nick who just wants to buy the latest meta army. What are they? I'll let you know what they are, so then I can borrow them when you got them painted. Oh yeah, so the team event, Andy has. So he's our enemy at the team event, Andy. Sadly, he's normally my teammate, but we're gonna have to crush him, Fabian.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Conan
Well,
style.
you didn't say me. You've just got no faith in me, have you, Luke?
And Jack, you can crush him as well. I'll,
Only one person gets to play against Andy though, so you can't all crush
Yeah,
him.
yeah, Jack.
So yeah, I think we can move on from the team event. Have you got anything else from us?
No, I think that's it. A little sneak preview of the sort of list we're going to be looking at, the sort of thinking behind them, and yeah, overall, it's just letting you know that Metabreakers is back on, and you're going to start seeing some more weekly content from us. You know, as Luke said, we're going to mix in some battle reports, some of these shows, some analysis, all that good stuff, and yeah, anything to do with breaking the meta, we will be doing. Again, I just want to say a big thanks to everybody, you know, who's watching on YouTube right now, who's subscribing to the Patreon, who's subscribing to the YouTube. You can just click the subscribe button and it's free. I think there's also a bell button.
I was going to say, I just want to take a minute to really thank the Patreons over the past year, because we've kind of been going through a lot of changes, and kind of the support from the Patreons, both kind of in our personal lives, especially with me and my father, but as well in our professional lives, continuing to support us in this kind of gap period as we've been preparing, and your confidence in us that we'll be able to deliver content that will be good for you guys. It does mean a lot to us, and it has made all of this possible. So a big thumbs up to all our patrons that have helped us out.
Big thumbs down for Luke.
Yeah, big thumbs down for Luke. Luke sucks.
But
Luke.
yeah, so
It's alright, Luke. Your time has come now. These battle reports are coming. Oh, baby. I've had so many DMs from people saying, please, give him the beating that he deserves. Like, oh,
I will always have that video on you, Fabian. It's literally on replay in the background.
It's coming. We're gonna do loads of stuff. We're gonna do like a little mini series between, you know, like Luke and myself. People, you know, vote for armies, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, just keep tuned. We've got loads of ideas. A lot of them gonna be real fun. A lot of new content and new way of sort of doing stuff for the guys that are a little bit more competitive. I don't think there isn't as much out there at the moment in regards to the competitive guys. Just playing like real cool games. And then yeah, everyone wants to see Luke lose. So yeah, all good, right?
And yeah, so I think the next show we've got a guy from Denmark who uses tree lords and does very well. I think we'll try and get him on and do a little show on the tree lords.
Absolutely.
Next.
So yeah, stay tuned. Watch this space. Like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And we'll see you later. That's bye from me.
Thanks,
See you later, guys.
This video is made possible by our patrons. If you want to know more about how to support us, click on the link to the right. This video is made possible by our patrons. If you want to know more about how to support us, click on the link to the right. This video is made possible by our patrons.